Welcome to lesson 105 of algebraic concepts, or lesson 2105, absolute value functions. Okay, here's our objective, our vocabulary. Okay, so an absolute value function is two separate lines that make a V. If you go back and look at absolute value, I did some videos on it a long time ago. We talked about why it makes a V. But basically, you have to consider the positive side and the negative side when you solve for absolute value. Okay, so graph y equals x. So what I'm going to do here is make a table of values to show you the solution. So we know that absolute value is a distance and it's always positive. So when x, what is y? When x is negative 3, y is positive 3. So because y, the absolute value of negative 3 is positive 3. So distance is always positive, negative 2, positive 2, negative 1, positive 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay, so negative 3, we're at 3, negative 2, negative 1, we're at 1, 0, and then conversely for that. So this is the graph of the function. Okay, so our vertex is at 0, 0. That's the point of change. I don't know if I included that in the vocabulary. I should have, but we may ask you questions on finding the vertex. So, okay, graph the function y equals negative x minus 1, or the opposite of x minus 1. So we're going to graph this with the table of values. And our function negative x minus 1, and our output is y. All right, so negative 3. We get the opposite of 3 minus 1, which is 2. The opposite of 2, negative 2. So 3, negative 2. Negative 2. The opposite of 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. The opposite of 1 is negative 1. 2, negative 1. Negative 1. The opposite of 1 minus 1, which is just 0. At 0, we're at the opposite of 0 minus 1, which is positive 1. 0, we're at 1. At 1, we're at the opposite of 1 minus 1, which is 0. 1, 0. 2, we're at the opposite of 2 minus 1, which is 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then negative 1 is the opposite. 2 minus 1. And then 3, which is the opposite of 3 minus 1, which is 2. The opposite is negative 2. And these are our points, and this is our graph of this function. Okay, so those were our two examples, and we are just asking you to graph these functions. So please try them on the upcoming slides, and I will meet you at the end of the video for a recap. Okay, graph y equals negative absolute value of x. If we graph the positive of the opposite of the absolute value of x, will go down. So this is the same as example 1, except for we're in the opposite direction. So anytime a negative is outside in front of the absolute value, your absolute value function is going to fail. So graph y equals x minus 1. So basically, I just can graph the y-intercept. So when y is 0, when x is 0, when x is 0, y is negative 1. So we're going to get an absolute value function that is shifted just like in example 2. Down 1. So that is that. And then x plus 1 plus 2. Okay, the absolute value of x plus 1 plus 2. So we're going to make a table of values for this one because this is going to have shifts. When you have a number inside of the absolute value, it shifts one way. In x, when you have a number outside of the absolute value, it shifts up and down, or in y. So let's make a table of values. X plus 1 plus 2. And let's give you y. Okay, we want 3 points to the left of 0 and 2 points to the 3 points to the right of 0. When you make your graphs, 3 plus 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So we're at negative 3, 6. Oh, that should be negative. I apologize. Let's do this again. I went too fast. Look at me. Okay, negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2. The opposite of the absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. Positive 2 plus 2 is 4. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. The absolute value of negative 1 is positive 1 plus 2 is 3. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 1 is 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 1 is 2 plus 2 is 4. 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. 3 plus 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, so negative 3 is at 4. Negative 2 is at 3. Negative 1 is at 2. 0 is at 3. When x is 0, y is 3. One 4, 2 5, and 3 6, and so on and so on. Okay, so that is that. So in this one, we're just getting you to graph the absolute value function. We're not worried about analyzing the shifts just yet. We will come to that in a later lesson. This is just an introduction of a couple of different functions that we're looking at, and we will analyze the shifts at a later point in time. So thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, subscribe to this channel, and I hope to see you on the next video.